Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early. It's 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, so if you look on my live, I don't know if this is with my regular videos. If you go to live, there's different categories you can look on my videos. If you go to the live videos, you'll see the video I did this morning. It was just totally out of the blue. I decided to do this. I really didn't find a story that I wanted to talk about this morning. I talked about this Trump thing, this Trump ladder thing in the live video. I am so grateful to the one viewer, because nobody expected this, least of all me, to do this. And somebody was actually watching and gave me a thumbs up. So, I mean, that felt good. At least I wasn't talking to myself. I really appreciate that. That's one of the reasons I do these videos. Like, it's the reason I'm doing this video right now, right here. Because I didn't have anything really, I didn't find any stories on TMZ or political videos or anything to talk about this morning. And I know there's people, I see the views pop up in the first hour. The first hour always gets the most views, and I'll have 12, I know 12 isn't a lot, but you know, there's 12 people that look for my videos in the morning. Sometimes it's 20, and I do it for you guys. Because I know, you know, even if you don't like me, you still look for my videos and you expect me to be here, and I feel like I'm letting people down if I'm not here doing a video, seriously. Okay, so I did this live video this morning. I want to do a video maybe out on my bike. I'd like to go back to you know what, this is what I want to do. I've been wanting to do a video. I did a video about the haunted tunnel. I've been wanting to go back there because I wasn't making that up. That was some freaky stuff, man. When I was there, that was just a bad, freaky vibe. If you go back and watch that video, a bear, actually, this is the first time I actually had a live encounter with a bear on video, too. I want to do a video from a place called Leatherman's Cave in Connecticut. If you don't know the story of the Leatherman, do a search here on YouTube, or anywhere, really. The Leatherman of New England, or Leatherman of Connecticut. It's this guy, I believe it was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. He was from France. He wore a complete leather outfit. Seriously, patched together. The story is he was a leather maker or something from France, and he was jilted, and he came to America. And check this out. This is the true part of the story. He did a yearly walk. He walked. He would stay in barns. He would stay in caves. And he would be at the exact same locations throughout Connecticut, New York, and I believe Rhode Island and Massachusetts over a 365-day period. And he would do this route, and he'd be at the exact same places and on the same days, and people would expect him. It's a weird, I guess you could call it a folktale, but it's true. And there's an actual cave not far from where I am right now. It's actually, I tell you guys, I grew up in the Black Rock State Park in Connecticut. It's part of that park. I used to go there as a kid. It's a cave, and it's called Leatherman's Cave, and this is one of the places that the Leatherman stayed, and I want to go there live. So I'm thinking about doing that this week, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, or definitely my Friday's open, maybe Friday. I'm gonna let you guys know. Because I could put it'd be better if I put like a notification that I'm going to be going live, so people will know that I'm going live. It was kind of, you know, usually the point of going live is to have a discussion, and nobody knew I was going to be here this morning, so there wasn't too much discussion. Anyway, I thought I'd share with you guys this morning the very first time I used, which was of course marijuana. And some of you guys might have an image in your head of how somebody like me that got involved with drugs, how it all started. I must have come from a bad family, or my parents must have used. A lot of people have asked me that. A lot of people can't believe, they're shocked to hear that my family, nobody else in my family uses. Nobody else in my family even drinks. My mother is one of those people that has like one drink on New Year's Eve, and so she'll feel good, and that's it. She has like one screwdriver. She used to. She doesn't do that anymore. My grandfather, my father's father, was a full-blown hardcore alcoholic, and he just stopped drinking one day. He got in a bad accident, broke his leg, almost died, and he just cold turkey stopped drinking. And he was a totally different person. He stopped drinking when I was about 8 years old, and I was terrified of him. Before he was just a totally different person. After he stopped drinking, he was just amazing. an amazing grandfather. Anyway, people are surprised by this. I remember, growing up, my father was a park ranger, and my mother and my father would tell me, don't ever use drugs. They would warn me constantly. My father told me this. I don't know if I should say this. He said he would disown me if I ever became a priest. Don't ask me why. He's gone now. He died when I was 9, so I can't ask him why. If I ever used drugs, and I can't remember. I think those were the two big ones, because he wasn't Catholic and my mom was Catholic, and they had to promise to raise me Catholic. And apparently the priest called my father a heathen, so he didn't care for priests. Anyway, there was this one time when I was younger. I was 3 years old. I still remember this. My father went to Woodstock, but not to see the bands, but as a firefighter. He was a forest firefighter, and he went up there with some of the Connecticut forest firefighters to watch for fires. And he came back, and I was only 3 or 4 years old when this conversation took place. And I still remember this. He was talking to my mother, and I'm playing or whatever, and he said, there was a lot of acid at the event. And being a kid, for years after that, my mother used to warn me about battery acid, like in my toys. If you left the battery in for too long, you know how the batteries in the toys would get acid, and it would burn you, the battery acid. This is what I thought he was talking about when I was little. So I was like, "Why? What's going on?" I was a little kid, so I was like, well, I pictured picnic tables with batteries all over them, burning the picnic tables. That's what I thought he was talking about, as a 3 or 4 year old kid. First time, I was dead set against using it, even up till the time I was 12, 13. I moved when I was 14 years old to what you'd call the bad side of the tracks, I guess. The part of the town I was from, there was the part that's closer to the city of Waterbury, and it was kind of, more low income, but that's the only place my mother, after my father died, was able to afford a house. And it was tougher. And I got a paper route. I never used, I had no intention of using it all in anything. And I was walking through the woods one day, and I was, this is where I learned to fight, and this is what changed me when I moved to this area. I was a quiet, kept to myself. I was scared. And I was walking through the woods, and there was about 5 or 6 older people. I was probably 13 or 14, and they were 16, 17, and it was the tough guys, with the patches and the Led Zeppelin and all that stuff. And I was a Boy Scout. Seriously, I was a Cub Scout and Boy Scout. And they were sitting on this big rock where the kids hung out and painted graffiti, those kind of places. And they had a cowboy hat in between their, like, sitting on the ground, and they were actually rolling up joints. And this is back in the day. We used to call them bones. Dollar bones. They sell dollar bones behind the high school. I actually ended up doing this. I actually became a dealer shortly after this. I went downhill quick. So I came across these people, and these kids from the neighborhood, these older, tougher kids, and they're rolling up just literally hundreds of these dollar bones, dollar joints they were going to sell, and they're like, "Daryl, come here," and I'm petrified. They used to call me Einstein because I was in the accelerated classes. Yeah, believe it or not, I was a Boy Scout in accelerated classes. And so, "Einstein, come here." They dragged me over, put their arms all around me, And I was a big guy, but I was more timid. All this stuff changed me. It did. After getting in fights day after day, I learned how to take care of myself. I learned to be aggressive myself. I learned how to intimidate people back. And I became a completely different person. I have a hard time remembering the person I was back then. And there was this beautiful girl. I've seen her around the neighborhood. She was a couple years older than me. Julie Guerrera was her name. I still remember her name. She had long brown hair, nice lips. And, she was probably about 15, 16. I was 13 or 14. And she was just gorgeous, man, beautiful. And so they're passing around a joint, and they're like, "You want some, Daryl?" And I never smoked. I was like, no. So Julie takes it. She's the only girl there. And she goes, "Here, Daryl, let me give you a shotgun." And if you don't know what a shotgun is, she took the lid end of the joint, put it in her mouth, and then I had to put my face right up to her, my lips right up to hers, and she was going to blow the smoke in my mouth. And through the lure or the intimidation of these people, these older kids, and the lure of this gorgeous girl putting her lips up against them, like that, I went along with it, and I inhaled, I coughed. And I think I took a few puffs of it after that, and then I was like, oh, I got to go, guys, and I went on my way. And I went over to my friend's house, who also had a paper route. And I was like, I hurried up. We went in the bedroom, shut the door, and he's like, don't shut the door. My mom will wonder what we're doing in here. We were the good kids, And I was like, dude, I think I'm high. I told him everything that happened. I don't know if I was or not. And it went downhill quick from there. That was my freshman year. By sophomore year, I was one of the guys out and back, selling joints, dollar joints. We'd be out by the football field, and I had my own car. When I bought my own car, $2,000 1975 Dodge Charger. It looked like a Cordoba, but it was a Dodge Charger. I bought it with my paper route money. I worked for everything I had my whole life. I saved up the money, and I bought the car for 2 years in multiple paper routes. I bought this car, and we'd park out and back, and before school, and there's a football field back there with the bleachers and everything, and we would sell dollar bones, and I'd have my plastic bag full of dollar joints, and people would come up to you to get their, and lunch was only $1 back then, so people would either buy lunch or buy a joint, and which kind of sucks because you get munchies. So when you buy the joint and smoke it, you get hungry, and then you don't have your dollar to buy any food. But so that was the biggest troubles I had. Life was so much easier and simpler then. 3 of my friends back then. It was weird because one of my friends was in accelerated classes. He went to Syracuse University, and he became an architect. One of the smartest kids in the class in the school, and he was my best friend. And then one of my other friends was the quarterback on the football team. And another one of my friends, he became a minister. He's the guy I told you guys about in another video that we tripped, and he kind of went nuts and went running out into the darkness. And he was all born again when he came back. And he became a preacher. He's got 5 kids now. So we were so diverse. We were from all the different groups in high school. And we were all very curious. And I remember the first time I did cocaine was at the prom. I was the whole time I was going in high school. Once I moved to this area, I got tougher. I grew about another foot, so I was like 6'4", almost 6'5". I lost all the fat. I gained muscle. I started wearing Levi's and Nikes, and I went from being a picked on kid to being a popular guy in school. And I didn't have a problem getting a girlfriend through high school. And my girlfriend was I was actually dating a girl in a grade above me. I was like a sophomore. She was a junior, and she was the star of the volleyball team. Anyway, we went to the prom, and my friends wanted to get cocaine. And so I think one of my friend, the jock, bought like a half gram, and we split a whole half gram, a quarter gram each. And I did this is the first time I did coke was at the prom. And it's kind of sucked because I wasn't hungry then. And we got this big prime rib dinner, and that's the last thing I felt like doing was eating the prime, and it went to waste. That's how it started. That's the first couple times I used. And I was just one of those people that, in for a penny, in for a pound, I guess. I didn't just use a little bit. I wanted to learn where to get it, and the dealers, and the whole system, and I started going down to New York City, to Bridgeport, and these other places, so that I could make money from, and not pay for it, and, which was very enterprising, but unfortunately it was enterprising in the wrong way. So yeah, things went downhill very quick, and once I got involved in that, people would start coming to me, for these things, and it just got deeper and deeper. And then, of course, you always hear dealers say never use your own product, which I was doing, and the cocaine turned to crack, and the crack turned to heroin, and here I am, 17 years, almost 17 years clean and sober. First time I ever used, like counting marijuana. You guys just heard the story. All right, I'm running real long. I will let you know. I'm going to go live again, and I'm going to do this Leatherman Cave video. All right, stay tuned. And thank you so much to the one viewer that watched my live video this morning. Thank you, man. Love you.